Welcome back to Canard Boulevard. My name is Scott. Today, my wife and I are flying out to Maine for a long weekend, visiting friends. We're going to see some interesting things while we're out there and have an interesting flight there and back, some IFR and night flying. Coming up. There's a Cessna 150 on the runway in front of us.
Medina traffic, Cessna 990 show up, it's departing runway 9, Medina.
It's my hangar neighbor. I know this young man.
You want to race? That's the Canard.
Ready, set, go.
Ready, set, go. So I think even if he took off and then I taxied down and took off, eventually I'd catch up and pass him because he cruises, his max cruise speed is pretty much my climb speed. So I did ask him which direction he was going just to see if I could catch up with him and see him on my way out to Maine.
Medina traffic, Cessna 990 Charlie Alpha is turning right, approaching VFR to the northwest, Medina.
Where are you headed to?
Or clear.
How about yourself? Maine.
Wow, when are you coming back?
Maybe Wednesday.
We'll see you then.
Yep.
Have fun, stay safe.
Unfortunately, he was going the opposite direction, so I continued taxiing down and getting ready to depart out of Medina.
You ready?
I like to have the airplane ready to take off when I do the run-up, so you can see I've retracted the canopy sunshade, I've turned on the boost pump, and now I'm doing my run-up to check the ignition and magneto. And a quick check, make sure the mixture is operating as expected, and we're ready to go.
Alright, away we go. Alright, everything's in the green. Airspeed's alive. And there's 40. There's 50. And 60. And pressure back. And gear up. Pitch for VX.
We were very heavy today, not quite max gross, but within a couple 100 pounds of it, and it was warmer than usual, so it took a little while to accelerate to VX and then subsequently VOI. I probably could have rotated a little bit faster off the ground, and that would have helped, but no harm done.
Canard traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima departing to the northeast.
I did file IFR for this trip, particularly because we're going to be landing at night, and landing at night in an unfamiliar airport, I'd like to do an approach. So let's call up approach and get our clearance.
Cleveland approach, November 797 Delta Lima.
Flight set 561, you're clear visual approach, runway 6 left, enter the left downwind.
And no response, so after half a minute, we'll try again.
Cleveland approach, November 797 Delta Lima.
And another half minute goes by, no response. So we try again.
Cleveland approach, November 797 Delta Lima.
Number 25 uniform, did you copy? The traffic's no factor.
And nope, another 30 seconds, maybe the fourth time's the charm.
Cleveland approach, November 797 Delta Lima.
Number 797 Delta Lima, Cleveland approach.
Yeah, 7 Delta Lima just off Medina, looking to pick up IFR 2 Bravo X-ray Mike, please.
November 7 Delta Lima, squawk 4136, thanks for your patience.
4136, 7 Delta Lima.
Number 797 Delta Lima's radar contact 8 miles northeast of the Medina County Airport. I show you at 3,500, and the altimeter is 3019er. You're cleared to Bravo X-ray Mike Airport as filed, climb maintain 9,000.
Cleared as filed, and we will climb to 9,000, 7 Delta Lima.
Number 7 Delta Lima for traffic, turn left heading 020 vector for your climb.
Left to do 020 for 7 Delta Lima.
And number 4975, contact tower, have a nice day.
This flight, along with the approach at the very end of it, was just a hair under 4 hours long, and much of it was at night, and there's not a whole lot to see, so how do I actually show this on here? I'm just going to do a time lapse. So here's a time lapse of 4 hours of flight from Ohio to the coast of Maine. Now I do have cockpit lighting. You can see I've got red lights on the top of the glare shield there that kind of shine down onto the panel, but I don't really need it because the panel is lit internally. All the buttons, all the screens are all lit. All the different devices have photocells so that they will dim themselves down, except for the G3X, which does not. It expects you to have an external dimmer, which I do not have installed on this airplane, so I have to manually dim down the G3X displays. We did hit a little bit of clouds, and it was kind of bumpy in those clouds, so I asked for another 2,000 feet to climb up above that. It was kind of fun to go through them, but my wife doesn't appreciate the turbulence. It does get a little bit colder when you go up higher, so you saw I put on my jacket, and I do have the heat on in the cockpit now. We're past all those cloud buildups, and it's nice, smooth, clear sailing at this point. If you notice the EFIS, the backup EFIS on the right-hand side of the panel, it doesn't dim as much as it should, and once it gets dark, it's really too bright. It's killing my night vision, so I ended up taking the sleeve for my sun shield and shoving it up there in front of that to block that off, just because it was not dimming down. I need to have a look at that thing and see if there's actually something in there that can make that dim down. You can see it's much, much brighter than the other instruments on the panel. One thing about flying at night is that the airports are really easy to identify because you can just see the airport beacons flashing, and a lot of the times the airport runway lights are also lit up. And this route I like taking because at the altitude I'm at, I'm almost always within gliding range of an airport. So even at nighttime, if there was an issue, if there was an engine issue, chances are I'm going to be able to make a runway just by gliding to it. So there was a guy on the ground at Brunswick as I'm getting close who was trying to raise approach to cancel his IFR, and he was not getting through.
Portland, worldwide 91. Is that Brunswick cancel IFR?
After his third attempt, I thought I'd help out.
Portland approach, relaying for worldwide 91. States they're on the ground, cancel IFR at Brunswick.
And thanks for relaying worldwide 91. Your IFR's cancellations received.
Worldwide 91, cancellation received.
Thank you, sir, for relaying.
52 airport, 2 o'clock, 10 miles.
Part of that was being selfish because I knew I was going to be landing there in just a few minutes, and I couldn't land there if he had landed and had not yet canceled his IFR, so I was going to be stuck in the air until he closed his IFR. So by doing so, that clears his flight out, which means I can then do my approach into Brunswick.
7 Delta Lima, 10 miles from Nolly, cross Nolly at or above 4,000, cleared RNAV runway 19 left Brunswick.
Cross Nolly at or above 4,000, clear the RNAV 19, taking 10 Delta Lima.
November 7 Delta Lima, report cancellation of IFR in the air. This frequency or on the ground via 123.65. Change to advisory frequency approved.
We'll report 123.65 on the ground and change to advisory 7 Delta Lima. Brunswick traffic, November 797 Delta Lima, 10 mile final on the RNAV 19 left, Brunswick. Port approach 797 Delta Lima, go ahead and cancel it, IFR.
7 Delta Lima, how do you hear?
Say again, 7 Delta Lima.
7 Delta Lima, IFR cancellation received, squawk VFR, have a good night.
Thanks for your help, good night. Brunswick traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima, 4 mile final, runway 19er, Brunswick. 500 for 330.
I am doing this as a coupled approach, so the autopilot has been flying this entire approach, and I'm about to click it off, and you're going to see the crab angle removed that it was holding.
400 for 330.
Minimums.
It's a nice calm night, a little bit of a crosswind, but no gusts, so I don't need to hold any extra speed. I take about 90 knots on the way down on the final approach, then I let that speed decay as I get closer in. Right now I'm coming in on about 75 knots, and then once I'm over the numbers, I'm going to pull the engine back, and then I'll let it decay down to 70 to almost 65 in the flare, where the Canard will quick flying at about 63. And that's it. A nighttime landing, Brunswick, Maine. We are down and ready for a fun weekend. One of the things we did, we all took a trip in my friend's beautiful 310, which they very graciously allowed me to fly up to Greenville, Maine, where the Greenville Seaplane Fly-In is located. And you can see these beautiful mountains and lakes. And these lakes all feed out to the ocean. It's interesting that Brunswick itself is only 75 feet elevation, but you don't have to go very far inland before you hit mountains, and you are looking at 4,000 foot elevations. It happens pretty quickly. So once we got there, we saw this amazing DC-3. You can see, of course, like a DC-3 should, it is leaking oil down onto the floats. And after going around shopping, having something to eat, and the sun started to set, it was time to head for home. Here's something I never saw before. At nighttime, when the tide is low and the water isn't stirred up, you can see lobsters. Hundreds and hundreds of lobsters just walking around on the bottom of the ocean. And I guess this is what Maine is known for. Obviously, there are so many lobster traps everywhere and lobster fisheries, but I've just never seen one walking around like this before. You also get to see lots of seals, which means there's also lots of sharks who view seals as a tasty snack, but I've never seen a shark, only seals.
Brunswick traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima at IFO, taxi for 19er left. Brunswick.
After a few days of visiting, it was time to head for home, fueled up the airplane, did all my flight planning. The weather looks fantastic, and we have amazing tailwinds on the way home, up to 20-knot tailwinds. So I filed IFR just because it makes things easier, and it's going to be time to pick that up in just a moment.
Brunswick Executive Airport, automated weather observation. 19er, 59er, Zulu. Wind 210 at 8 knots. Visibility more than 10. Sky condition clear below 12,000. Temperature 2 Celsius. 2.1 tree Celsius. Altimeter 3028.
Portland clearance November 797 Delta Lima.
Brunswick has an RCO for clearance delivery, which is really nice.
Cozy 797 Delta Lima, Portland.
797 Delta Lima on the ground in Brunswick, looking to pick up IFR to 1 Gulf 5, please.
Cozy 797 Delta Lima, clear to the 1 Gulf 5 airport via direct Bauer, Bravo, Alpha, Uniform, Echo, Romeo. Direct Albany, then as filed, climb to maintain 3,000 and expect 2000 within 10 minutes. Departure frequency, Portland approach 119.75, squawk 1407, and hold for release.
All right, cleared via Bauer, Albany, and then as filed. Climb maintain 3,000, expect 12 after 10, frequency 119.75, squawk 1407.
Cozy 7 Delta Lima, read back correct, advise number 1 ready for departure of this frequency.
Number 1 ready to go.
You said you're ready now for 7 Delta Lima.
7 Delta Lima, affirmative.
Cozy 797 Delta Lima, numerous aircraft observed in the pattern. You are released for departure. Clearance void in 10 minutes. Clear not off in 10. Advise no later than 15 minutes of intention to this frequency.
7 Delta Lima cleared, and clearance more than 10 minutes. We'll talk to you here. Brunswick traffic, November 797 Delta Lima, departing 19er left. It will be a departure to the west. Brunswick.
Controller said there was a lot of targets in the air around the airport in the pattern, but I didn't see any or hear any on the radio.
You ready?
I already did my run up and all my checks, so we're going to pull onto this 8,000 foot runway and just do a nice gentle departure.
All right, everything's in the green. Airspeed's alive. 40. 50. 60. 65. And 70. Rotate. Gear up. VX. And away we go. And there's VY.
I realize now, looking at this, that I probably could have waited to retract the gear on this 8,000-foot runway, but I was climbing, and the airplane definitely climbs better when the gear has been retracted.
Brunswick traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima departing to the west. Brunswick.
511 here, I'd like to descend to 3,500.
November 35110, altitude your discretion.
Do my discretion for us, yeah.
Good afternoon, Portland, November 797 Delta Lima, just off of Brunswick, 1200 for 3,000.
November 110, change to my frequency 128.35.
12835.
November 797 Delta Lima, Portland departure ident, climb and maintain 10,000.
Ident and up to 10,000, 10,000 Lima.
7 Delta Lima, radar contact, a mile and a half south of the Brunswick Airport, Portland, altimeter 3026.
3026, 7,000 Lima.
November 7 Delta Lima, contact Boston Center 128.2.
28.2 for 7 Delta Lima, good day. Good afternoon, Boston approach, Boston Center, November 797 Delta Lima, 5,400, climbing 10,000.
November 797 Delta Lima, Boston Center, climbing team 12,000, and the Portland altimeter 3027.
Climb 12,000, 3027, 7 Delta Lima. So that noise is because I had my second comm up, and some frequencies couple. So I've got one comm antenna in each vertical stabilizer, and if one frequency resonates with whatever frequency you've got in the other radio, it breaks that squelch, and you end up transmitting yourself and getting all that noise. So that's what that was. So I just switch off comm 2, and then that doesn't happen. So we're going all the way up to 12,000 feet today because we've got some awesome tailwinds. What are the chances we had tailwinds coming out here and now we got tailwinds going home? That never happens. It's usually the opposite.
So I'm continuing the climb, and it's an ISA plus 15 degree day, so a little bit warm, so we're not getting quite the performance, but still climbing. Then I look at my engine instruments and I realize I have a problem. My fuel totalizer is not showing the value it should, which means it didn't reset properly when I filled the tanks on the ground. I normally reset it by hand, and I know I did it, but for some reason it didn't store into the G3X, so it's showing that I only have, I think, about 15 or 16 gallons of fuel. Now I know I have more than enough fuel to get home, but I wanted to show the correct fuel values in there, so what I'm doing here is using a calculator to calculate how much fuel I've used in the climb, because I know exactly what the fuel burn is in gallons per hour, and I know exactly how long I've been flying, so I can calculate how much fuel I've burned so far, subtract that from 52 gallons, which is how much is in the airplane when it's full, and then I can manually put the remaining value into the totalizer, which is what I'm doing right here, and that means it will now again be accurate for the remainder of the flight. This wouldn't be a huge deal, but I don't yet have fuel senders in this airplane, so I rely on the totalizer.
November 797 Delta Lima, contact Boston Center 134.7.
134.7 for 7 Delta Lima, good day.
November 890 Golf, you said you're cruising at 7,500 feet, correct?
Costa Center, good afternoon. November 797 Delta Lima, level 12,000.
797 Delta Lima, Boston Center, Contact altimeter 3025.
3025 Delta Lima.
Still flying over the lakes of Maine, and I flew over this inlet here that had a harbor full of boats, most of which were sailboats, and I couldn't believe just how many boats were moored out in this harbor, let alone on the docks. Really, a lot of sailboats here. I don't know what the deal was, if there was a regatta or something there, but that just seems to be an odd number of boats all crammed in that one little area. And just looking at the mountains and the lakes in this area, you can see the mist over the top of the mountains. It's just so beautiful. The camera really doesn't do it justice. Flying over this and just taking in all this beauty, it just makes it all worthwhile flying this airplane. You can see the tops of those mountains sticking up through the mist. And then I got traffic notice about this airplane who was 1,000 feet above me. And now that I have T-Mobile satellite texting, I can take all these videos and pictures in the cockpit and text them to my friends on the ground, which is really great. You don't have any cellular connection at all at this altitude, but you can still send and receive text messages, including pictures, over the satellite system with T-Mobile, which is fantastic.
797 Delta Lima, contact Boston Center 121.35.
121.35 or 7 Delta Lima, good day.
Hey, Boston Breaker 5780.
Boston Center, November 797 Delta Lima, 12-1-2000.
7 Delta Lima, Boston Albany, altimeter 3020.
3020, 7 Delta Lima.
And now I've got a problem. I'm flying along. I've been talking to Boston Center for quite some time, for almost a couple of hours. I'm well into New York State, and I realize I haven't been handed off in quite a while. In fact, now that I think about it, I haven't heard Boston Center talking at all. I hear lots of other airplanes who are on frequency talking back to Boston Center, but I'm not hearing Boston Center themselves because I've flown out of range. And if they did try to hand me off, I didn't hear it because I was out of range. So I'm going to have to open the squelch on my radio and try to contact them, which is what I'm going to do here.
Boston, howdy here, November 797 Delta Lima. Boston Center, November 797 Delta Lima.
Yeah, that's not working. I'm out of range of Boston. So next I look and see what airport is nearby to me, and then I pull that airport up on my Garmin Pilot to see what the center frequency is that's associated with that airport, and it shows me that Cleveland Center is the center that's responsible for the sector that I'm currently flying through. So I'll call up Cleveland Center.
Cleveland Center, November 797 Delta Lima.
797 Delta Lima, Cleveland.
Yeah, I was with Boston and I haven't heard from them in a while and was never handed off and no longer can raise them. I'm wondering if I should have been handed off to you.
797 Delta Lima, yeah, you're actually in the right place. They were looking for you, but you're here now.
All right, I thought I had gotten awfully quiet.
There are specific procedures when you are flying IFR if you go out of radio contact. For instance, if I lost all my radios and they could still see me because of my transponder, they would expect me just to continue on the exact cleared route that I had and execute an approach and land at the airport of my destination. Obviously, I didn't have to do that in this case because I knew who I should be talking to, so I just called them up and they were expecting me, more or less. So now I'm getting closer into Cleveland and I need to start thinking about descending because I'm still at 12,000 feet. I'm getting awfully close to be still at 12,000 feet. This airplane takes time to descend.
Cleveland approach, November 797 Delta Lima 12000.
797 Delta Lima, Cleveland approach, altimeter 3015.
3015, Can we start down anytime soon?
7 Delta Lima, what's it today, leave you at 12,000?
I'm at 12,000, affirmative.
7 Delta Lima, descend to maintain 9,000.
Descend maintain 9,000, 7 Delta Lima.
Well, that's a start, but I need to get down lower than that.
Number 7 Delta Lima, continue descend, descend to maintain 5,000.
Descend maintain 5,000, 7 Delta Lima.
That's definitely better, but they did leave it a little bit too late for me, and this airplane, as I mentioned, does not like to come down. It's very slippery, and you are limited by speed and to how fast you can actually descend. And with the sun in my eyes and the haze in front, I decide I'm going to do the instrument approach into Medina.
Cleveland, November 797 Delta Lima, pretty decent haze out here. We're going to take the RNAV 27 from Tapley.
And Delta Lima, shoot direct Tapley.
Direct Tapley, 7 Delta Lima.
7 Delta Lima, you can send to maintain 3,000.
Send maintain 3,000, 7 Delta Lima.
Now I'm coming down at 1,700 feet per minute. When I get the clearance for the approach, I'm at 6,700 feet still, and I have 5 miles to get down to 2,800 feet, which is just not going to happen. So I'm way, way high coming into this approach.
Air 7 Delta Lima, you are 5 miles from Tapley, cross Tapley outer above 3,000, clear for the RNAV 27 approaching the Medina.
Cross Tapley outer above 3,000, clear for the RNAV 27 Medina, 7 Delta Lima.
So through some heroic ear-popping efforts, I did manage to get down to the proper altitude for the approach, only to find that the report of the winds on the ground at Medina, as usual, were completely wrong, and people are not even using runway 27, they're using runway 1.
Air 7 Delta Lima, change advisory frequencies approved, report canceling IFR and frequency in the air and ground with the remote.
7 Delta Lima has a fielded site we can cancel.
7 Delta Lima, cancellation, receive radar system, may for change, approved, squawk VFR.
Squawk VFR, field site change, approved, thanks for your help. 7 Delta Lima. Midnight traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima, 5 mile final, RNAV 27, full stop, Medina.
Midnight traffic, Cessna 07 Papa. Aircraft that's on the RNAV for 27, just wanted to let you know the winds on the METAR around here are reading about 7 knots from the 010. I'd say they're a little bit heavier, maybe around 9 knots for that crosswind. Midnight.
Thank you for that. We're going to break off this approach and we'll circle around for runway 1. Medina traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima, turning left base, or left downwind, runway 1, Medina. Medina traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima, turning left base, runway 1, Medina, full stop. Medina traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima, turning final, runway 1, full stop, Medina.
Not exactly the smoothest of landings, but not terrible. And that's the end of this trip. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And if you like this video or you'd like to see more like it, please click like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out when you do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.